Good morning and welcome to the last day of our MCA review, day 6. Today we're going to be solving systems and working with parallel and perpendicular lines. So first of all, we're going to solve systems of equations. Now this is again something new that we haven't done before, but all we need to do is graph these two equations. So if we're looking at the first one, we have y equals negative 3/2 x minus 4. Our m is going to be negative 3/2, and our b is going to be negative 4. Now where we begin at negative 4 on the y-axis, so 1, 2, 3, 4, make a point right there. And then to graph the slope, we go down 3 and over 2, so down 1, 2, 3, over 2. Opposite of that is up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. Up 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2 to the left. So if we were to draw our line through those points, we would have a line that looks like this. Then we would have to graph our other line over here. So looks like our m is 1/2 this time, and our b is 4. So we are going to go up to 4 on our y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4. And our slope is 1 over 2. 1 over 2. Or down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2. So then if we graph this one, hold on 1 second here. So now we have both of our lines graphs, and if we want to find the answer to this, we just look at where our two lines cross. We have to find the coordinates, so we're going to have an x and a y. Our x is going to be over negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. And our y is up 1, 2, so negative 4, 2 is our solution. Alright, our next problem, we are going to solve these by graphing. But first of all, we have to solve for y. So what we need to do first over here, since we have a minus 2x, we need to add 2x to get the x on the other side. So what we get then is 2y equals 2x minus 8. Then to get y by itself, we divide by 2, divide everything by 2, and we get y equals 2 divided by 2 is 1x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. So our m then, for this one, is 1, or 1 over 1. Our b has to be negative 4. So to graph this, we begin at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Or down 1 to the left 1. So we need to graph this line. We have a line that looks like that. Now our next equation is in point-slope form. How we solve this is we need to make our box. We need to get rid of our parentheses first. So we get negative 3/2 on the front times x minus 6 on top. Negative 3/2 times x is negative 3/2 x. Negative 3/2 times 6 is positive 9. Oh wait, sorry, it's not positive 9. Yes it is, sorry, positive 9. So then what we get is y plus 8 equals negative 3/2 x plus 9. To get y by itself, we need to subtract 8 and subtract 8 from both sides. What we get then is y equals negative 3/2 x. 9 minus 8 is positive 1. So our m is negative 3/2. Our b is going to be 1. So we begin at 1. We're going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 2. Down 1, 2, 3, and over 2. So if we wanted to make our line through those 3 points, it would look like that. So the solution is the point where our lines cross. At that point, it looks like you go over 2 on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we're going down 2, so negative 2. So our answer then is 2, negative 2. Now our last lesson is parallel and perpendicular lines. So if you remember, perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocals for their slopes. So if we have 2, that's like saying 2 over 1. The opposite of positive 2 over 1 is negative, and the reciprocal, we flip our two numbers. So instead of 2 over 1, we get 1 over 2. Here we have a negative 2/3. The opposite of negative is positive. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. So perpendicular lines, the slopes are opposite reciprocals. Parallel lines have the same slope. So both of their slopes are going to be the same. So if we jump into this, we are first going to work with perpendicular lines. So what we need to do is we need to take a look at our first point here. It says write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and is perpendicular to the given line. Graph both equations. So first of all, we need to find our slope. So how we do that is we get y by itself. So we're going to add 4x to this side and this side. So we get 2y equals 4x plus 6. Then we have to divide by 2 to get y by itself. Divide everything by 2. And we get y equals 4x divided by 2, which is 2x, plus 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So if we're looking for our slope, we got to look right here, and we know that our slope is 2. Now, if we are going to graph another line or find another equation that is perpendicular to this, we need to look at our slope. And our slope is 2. So if you remember from the last slide, our slopes for perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. So instead of 2, our slope for this next problem is going to be the opposite. So instead of positive, it's going to be negative. And instead of 2, or 2 over 1, it's going to be 1 over 2. So we got to take our point, which is negative 10, 5, and we're going to put this into an equation. The equation that we're going to make is going to be point-slope form because we have a point and we have a slope. So what we start with is y minus y1. In this case, this is our x1 and this is our y1. So y minus 5 equals our m, which we found to be negative 1/2, times x minus our x1, which is negative 10. Now if we have two negatives in a row, we can make those positive. Then we have to get rid of our parentheses, so we're going to draw our box. The negative 1/2 goes out front, and the x plus 10 goes on top. Negative 1/2 times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times 10 is negative 5. So then what we're left with is y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 x minus 5. Now to get y by itself, we need to add 5 and add 5. So we get y equals negative 1/2 x. Negative 5 plus 5 gives us 0. So negative 1/2 x plus 0. Now if we were to graph these two, well, our first one begins at 3. So it begins at 1, 2, 3, and has a slope of 2 over 1. So we're going to go up 2 and over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Down 2 to the left 1 if we wanted to create that. So we're going to have a line that looks like that. Now our next line begins at 0. We can draw a point there at 0. And it's going down 1 and over 2. Down 1 and over 2. Or the opposite, up 1 and over to the left 2. Up 1 and over to the left 2. So if we were to graph this one, we would have two perpendicular lines because they cross and make right angles. They cross and make right angles, so they are perpendicular. Next problem, we have y plus 2 equals negative 4/3 times x plus 3. So we got to solve this by solving for y. So we have to draw our box. And we have negative 4/3 out front and x plus 3 on top. Negative 4/3 times x is negative 4/3 x. Negative 4/3 times positive 3 is negative 4. So y plus 2 equals negative 4/3 x minus 4. Get y by itself, subtract 2, and subtract 2. What we get then is y equals negative 4/3 x minus 6. So in this case, our slope is going to be negative 4/3. Now we got to take our slope and our point and make a line that is perpendicular. So what we're going to do then is we're going to start by writing y minus y1. Our y1 is going to be 1 equals our slope. If we have a perpendicular line, our slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So instead of negative, it's going to be positive. Instead of 4/3, it's going to be 3/4 this time. The opposite reciprocal. Times x minus x1. Well, our x1 is 8. So if we're going to solve this, we need to get y by itself. So we need to start by drawing our box. We get 3/4 times x minus 8. 3/4 times x is 3/4 x. 3/4 times negative 8, well, that is, let me put this in my calculator quick. Negative 6. So we get y minus 1 equals 3/4 x minus 6. Now we're going to add 1 to get y by itself. So what we get then is y equals 3/4 x. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. So if we were to graph these, first we got to look at where we begin on the top one. We begin at negative 6 and go down 4/3. So begin at negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go down 4/3, but we can't go down 4, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over to the left 1, 2, 3. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. Then our line is going to look like that. And our second line is going to begin at negative 5. And it's going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, based on our slope. 1, 2, 3, and we're out of room. So we can create our line from these 2 points. And again, our lines made right angles, so they are perpendicular. Alright, let's go on to parallel lines. Again, the first thing we got to do is get the y by itself. So we got to first get rid of our parentheses. We have negative 4 and x minus 2. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. So we get y plus 10 equals negative 4x plus 8. Subtract the 10. Subtract the 10. What we get is y equals negative 4x minus 2. So our m in this case is -4. Now we are, instead of perpendicular, now doing parallel lines. So that means that our slope is going to be the same. So what we're going to do is use this point. This is going to be our x1 and our y1. We're going to write in point slope form. So y minus y1, which we said was 6, equals our slope, which if it's parallel it's the same, so -4, times x minus x1, which x1 is -1. Two negatives in a row we can make positive, and we can draw our box from this. So we get -4 times x plus 1. -4 times x is -4x. -4 times +1 is -4. So we get y minus 6 equals -4x minus 4. Add 6 to get y by itself. So we get y equals -4x plus 2. So then if we're going to graph this, the first one we begin at -2. We begin at -2. And our slope is -4, or -4 over 1. So we're going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. Or up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. So we'll have our first line right there. Our second line is going to begin at +2. It's going to have the same slope. We're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. Or up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. So if we draw this one, we can see that both of our lines are parallel because they're both straight and they will never touch as long as they keep going on and on forever. They'll never touch. Last problem. It looks like we have a standard form equation. So what we got to do first is move our x over to the other side. So we're going to add 1/4 x. So we get y equals 1/4 x minus 1. That shows us that our slope is 1/4. So now if we're going to write another equation that is parallel, this is our x1 and this is our y1. So we have y minus our y1, which is 4, equals our slope, which if it's parallel it's going to be the same, so our slope is 1/4, times x minus x1, which is -8. Now two negatives in a row make positive. So we have to get rid of our parentheses first, because we're solving for y. We get 1/4 times x plus 8. So 1/4 times x is 1/4 x. 1/4 times 8 is +2. So y minus 4 equals 1/4 x plus 2. Add the 4 to get y by itself. So what we end up with then is y equals 1/4 x plus 6. So for graphing this and graphing the first equation, we begin at -1. And our slope is 1/4, so up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down 1 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. And our second equation begins at +6 and has the same slope. So +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down 1 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, we graph that. It shows that we have two lines that will never touch, so those two lines are parallel.